undertaken by non-government organizations of public programs to make sure that they are in fact happening and progressing as advertised. The third area, which is ongoing work already, but we'd like to see greater expansion, is in the area of monitoring and evaluation, the conduct of periodic surveys and customer satisfaction surveys, as we are seeing already actively pursued and espoused by the Civil Service Commission in its pursuit of tracking compliance with the Anti-Red Tape Act and the posting of the Citizens Charter. To that, I would add a clearer measurement by a third party of customer satisfaction, so we can see if in fact, aside from compliance, services are being delivered in a more satisfactory manner to the ultimate customer, who are constituents, citizens, and taxpayers. And finally, one of my favorite projects, which I have been pushing very aggressively, is the creation of more multi-sectoral stakeholder advisory councils or independent advisors to each of the cabinet departments and key agencies. This program is not new. It is already moving and has been moving for the last 2 years under this performance governance system project, which we will be discussing today. And there are, to my recollection, maybe 6 or 7 agencies which have an independent multi-sectoral advisory council. And I can tell you that they are quite effective in providing independent advice to the heads of agencies when it comes to performance of their balanced scorecard, the setting of targets, the definition of outcomes, so that they receive an independent view of what matters to customers and citizens. Oftentimes, agencies set their targets that they understand, but which citizens do not understand, or which citizens don't even find meaningful. So it is important to provide an independent board of advisors to be able to provide feedback to a head of agency. And I can tell you, this is exactly what these groups have been doing. We look forward, and we have advocated the expansion of this program. And I think we have a good opportunity before us, not only through PGS and the balanced scorecard, but also because with the government opening up, starting its performance-based incentive system this year, whereby government employees will at last, and we're happy to support this, will at last receive performance-based bonuses this year, starting this year. We had suggested that since citizens cannot evaluate employees directly, because they are, of course, not our own employees, citizens, private sector, should have an opportunity to set the targets through this multi-sectoral advisory council. So by setting the key performance indicators in the key result areas, I think then at least we can see that a proper standard is agreed upon and set with citizens who are going to be the beneficiaries of these services. So I have proposed to the AO25 task force that we set up a centralized system for recruiting and vetting advisors from the private sector and the NGOs that we can then nominate or propose to the cabinet departments and head of agencies from which to select, so that they are picked from a list which has been vetted and reviewed. And that way, we on our part can also monitor the performance and evaluate the performance of these quote-unquote independent directors or advisors, so that the people who are signed up and volunteer to do the work and recruited for the work actually also are regularly monitored and asked for their feedback on how to improve the work. Having sat personally on 2 of these committees, I find them quite useful and quite an education, even for us, who are supposed to be giving the advice. I think we learn as much as we impart. Maybe we learn more, in fact. So I think this is a good solution moving forward, and I'm hoping that before year end we can see this program get off the ground in time for the review of the performance-based bonus system. I see my co-participant in that AO25 committee, Chairman Duque, and we're always pushing this idea because we've seen how useful balanced scorecards and multi-sectoral advisory councils have been for the agencies. I think they're an asset and a resource for the head of agency. So with your support and hopefully with your commitment to sign up for this program, to sit on 1 or 2 boards and help an agency improve its performance, I think we can see better and better performance in governance, not only for public agencies, but for government financial institutions, GOCCs, and private institutions. Let me just close here and say that the survey is that we're so used in the private sector to looking at the government in terms of pushing for improvement. Well, the shocking news, I think, for the private sector is the government has stepped up and, in fact, shown great improvement since 2009, over the 10-year series when we track, especially from 2009 to 2012. What I think has come as a bit of a surprise for the private sector is that the improvements have been not nearly as big, in fact, almost no change on the private sector front over the last 3 years. So now, we have to step up. The private sector will also have to step up its game and to walk its talk, because clearly the government has responded, and now if we can get all the other sectors to respond and step forward, then I have no doubt in my mind that good governance will be good economics, and we will see the effect on the numbers as reflected in GDP, poverty incidence reduction, more inclusive growth through the larger middle class, greater investments, greater wealth creation, and greater job creation. So I think that's the connection we have to keep in mind, that good governance and good economics are not just some empty slogan, but in fact, this year we are seeing the results. Good governance has led to good numbers, and if we keep it up, I have no doubt that those numbers should continue. So thank you, and good day, and I wish everybody a successful conference and Revalida. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bill Luz. Your insights and our country's latest economic results or triumphs will surely inspire us to carry out our work with bigger picture in mind. After an insider look at the latest in national competitiveness, let's focus the dialogue on the individual civil servant. This morning, we are joined by the Honorable Francisco Duque III, Chairman of the Civil Service Commission, and Director Victoria Esber, Head of the CSC Office of Strategy Management. Can we invite them over for the panel discussion? So after being MC, I'm now the panel discussant. This is ISA efficiency for you.
Marides, if I may,
yes, good morning.
I know this is, I don't mean to be off tangent,
yes,
but I just wanted to, while it's still fresh in my mind, I'd like to strongly suggest to the chairperson of the NCC to please include the Civil Service Commission in your sincerity to fight corruption survey in the next year. I think we were inadvertently left out, and we would want to rise to the challenge of being surveyed by the public in terms of our efforts to fight and curb corruption. Thank you.
Thank you. At least you weren't in the bottom two. Far. All right. Well, we're glad you could join us today, Dr. Duque, to share your performance governance system experience. And when you began the program, you made it your mission to make every civil servant a servant hero. How are you doing with regards to that?
Well, first of all, the Commission saw the wisdom first of adopting the performance